Let's dive into the world of bank catfishing, all the tips, tricks, secrets, baits, and rigs you need to reel in more and bigger catfish every time fishing. So let's get started and dive right in. Let's start with catfish behavior and habits. Catfish are known for their huge size and strength, which makes them very popular to catch all over the world. And catfishing from the bank can be incredibly rewarding if you use the right techniques, baits, and gear. So we're going to cover everything you need for catfish success, from the best baits by species to the rigs, equipment, and ideal fishing spots and times so that you can land monster trophy whiskers every time you head out to your local spot. First, let's understand a little more about the catfish's behavior and tendencies. Catfish are bottom dwellers and opportunistic feeders, which means they'll spend most of their time feeding near or on the bottom of lakes, rivers, and ponds. They're also mostly nocturnal, so they are much more active feeding and more aggressive during the nighttime hours and into the early morning hours during lower light conditions. So just understanding their habits a little better will put yourself in a better position to target and catch them more effectively and consistently every single time. Okay, now let's talk about the right gear and equipment you're going to need to battle these powerful fish. A medium-heavy to heavy catfish spinning rod with a very strong backbone is essential for handling catfish, especially if you're after the largest species of flatheads and blue catfish. We recommend an 8 to 9 foot longer rod, which will help absorb the strong fight and also allow you to cast out farther to the deepest sections of the lake or pond. You also have to pair the rod with a larger capacity spinning reel that is sturdy, has a good drag system, and can take at least 200 yards of heavy 30 to 50 pound braided fishing line. Catfish are very strong fighters, like we said, from the channel all the way up to the biggest of blues. So over-prepare yourself with the right gear and you'll always be in the best position to land your trophy. In terms of terminal tackle, you want to be using a 4/0 to 5/0 octopus circle hook for channels and bullheads and a 7/0 to 8/0 circle hook if you're after the bigger flatheads and blues. The octopus hook is specifically designed for catfish to turn inside their mouth once you gently set the hook when they start running with the bait. And this prevents gut hooking them, which of course makes it easier to get the hook out and is safer for the fish if you are planning to catch and release them. Okay, now for the real fun part, and that is choosing the right bait for each species of catfish that is going to bring home the bacon every time you're fishing. Catfish have a very strong sense of smell and taste. That's what their whiskers or barbels are for. They are called the swimming tongue for a reason, because their barbels and entire body are covered with thousands of taste buds and receptors, which is how they find their food to survive. And that's especially true even in murky or muddy, dark-stained water. So using baits that are very strong smelling is by far the number one way to ensure you're catching more and bigger catfish out there on the water. Here are some of the best baits to catch every catfish that swims, no matter where in the world you're fishing from the bank. First up is chicken liver, which has been a go-to classic choice for catfishermen all over the world for decades. Its strong smell and scent, rich blood and protein content, and texture is by far the best way to catch catfish in any type of water you're fishing. It will attract catfish in from a distance up to even about 100 yards away, and the real hack is to stuff the liver in a pair of pantyhose if using nylon is legal where you live. And of course, that's going to keep it all well put together and allow you to cast out multiple times into the deepest sections of the lake or pond where the biggest catfish love to hide. Now, you can also use beef liver or turkey liver, which tends to stay together a little better because it's a little more firm and tougher, but it's not as readily available, and you'll likely have to buy it at your local butcher shop, so we always just stick with the chicken liver, and it works like a charm. Okay, next up is cut bait, which is just cut up pieces of their favorite bait fish, like bluegill, shad, herring, or perch, in the 6 to 8 inch size range, because the fish oils, blood, and insides create a very strong scent trail that is simply irresistible to channel and blue catfish especially. And it's how you're going to catch the biggest catfish in any body of water that you're fishing. And, of course, live bait, if legal to use live bait in your area, is by far the number one choice to catch the biggest of flathead catfish that swims in that lake. A larger 7 to 8 inch bluegill, shad, herring, perch, and even smaller carp can all be used to target giant flatheads. You just want to hook the live bait fish up front or up through the lips so that he swims more freely and naturally, and it'll be more aggressive for flatheads because they tend to attack prey head first. So you'll always ensure you get a good hook set too this way, plus it keeps the bait more fresh and lively longer as it's on the hook. And next, there's the very popular stink baits that are especially designed to have a very strong and pungent odor aimed at catching channels in any type of water clarity. They come in a variety of flavors and scents and can be used in dough balls, pastes, and dips. And, of course, we did not forget about live night crawlers, minnows, and shrimp, too, which will all catch all species of catfish, along with every other fish that's alive in that body of water. Worms are always popular because of their natural scent, wiggle, and movement, and emerald shiner minnows because of their silvery flash, and shrimp for both freshwater and saltwater catfish because of their natural flavor and taste. And in fact, using old, rotten, spoiled, smelly shrimp will always work best. It don't have to be pretty, look pretty, or smell pretty to catch catfish. In fact, the opposite is always true. Pungent, stinky, smelly, and grotesque. And the more so, the better for catfishing. Okay, now let's talk about how we can properly rig all these baits to catch more catfish every time. Presenting the bait in the right way is crucial to ensure you're giving Mr. Whiskers exactly what he wants and where he wants it. The most basic yet most effective rig that we use for all types of catfishing is the slip sinker rig, which is also known as a modified Carolina rig. And it just entails a sliding egg sinker, a bead, a barrel swivel, and a leader with your octopus circle hook at the end of it. This is a very effective rig that's going to allow your bait to move freely along the lake bottom, and it's a versatile rig for fishing in deeper water too. Usually a 1 to 2 ounce sinker can get her down to the bottom from shore, but of course you may need to increase the sinker weight if you're in stronger river current or in much deeper water. And next is a Santee Cooper rig, which is the same thing as a slip sinker rig, except it adds a peg float 6 to 12 inches up from your circle hook to keep the bait just off the bottom floor. Folks will sometimes use this rig when targeting flatheads and blue catfish. And the third most common rig is a 3-way rig, which is mostly for drift fishing in a river or also used out on a boat in a deeper lake. And the simplest of all rigs to use in a river or a shallower pond is just a fixed bobber float rig, which allows you to suspend the bait at your desired depth and is very useful when you're trying to fish around heavy vegetation or debris. Okay, last section 5, location and timing. Hope you're still with us. Last is finding the perfect spot. As you know, location is everything in life as well as in fishing. So for catfish, you want to always look for areas with heavy structure, such as underwater, submerged logs, trees, rocks, drop-offs, and ledges. Catfish love to hide out in these spots. And you also want to consider fishing near any water inflows or outflows where water movement will attract catfish and stir up debris too. Okay, now and let's touch on timing. As we mentioned earlier, catfish are much more active at night because they're mostly nocturnal and during the early morning hours during lower light conditions. So if you plan to fish around these times, you're always going to get the best results. And overcast and even rainy, cloudy days can also be very productive, as catfish, like much fish do, are also mostly likely to venture out of their hiding spots and look for food. And always remember, catfishing takes patience and persistence. Stay focused, keep your gear in good condition, never give up, and go land yourself a trophy, folks. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. Please like this video, hit the subscribe button before you leave, and don't forget to enable your bell notifications so you never miss another great video coming your way.